All right, we're back. We're gonna make the sauce right now. Now, pizza sauce is something that you can have a whole variety of things depending on what style pizza. We're just making a pretty straightforward pizzas today. So we're just gonna make a simple sauce, but you can pick your own sauce recipe, whatever you'd like. I'm just gonna show you what I use for my everyday. Now, I do usually use homemade tomato sauce and stuff, but I'm showing you how to do it. With the things that you can get in the grocery store today. So really all you need, a can of tomato sauce. I like to get the no salt added and add my salt in, but it doesn't really make that much difference. You just want to be careful when you're adding your salt, just right there into the pan. Now it does really help to add a little bit of tomato paste. I tend to use the tomato paste that comes in the tube because you don't use very much, just a tablespoon or so, and I just give it a squeeze. This keeps for months in the refrigerator, and so you're not throwing away or you're not having to deal with it. But other ways you can do it is open a can, put the rest in the freezer in dollops or something like that. We're just gonna put in a squeeze of tomato paste, around a tablespoon or so. Doesn't take very much at all. And then we're gonna add just a pinch of salt. I don't like too much salt in my sauce, but you should have some. You want to be really careful about completely eliminating salt because it does add a lot of taste, brings a lot of taste, and then I always put in a grind of pepper, a couple grinds of that. And then once you've heated this, the only reason you have to heat it up is just to make sure it's thick enough. And with the store-bought sauce in the can, you don't have to heat it very long. Just heat it for a few minutes, stirring it, and get the right consistency. Remember, it will get thicker as it cools down, and you do want to let it cool before you get it on the pizza. You don't want to put it on the pizza really hot. Then I just add a sprinkling of oregano. Now, again, you can choose other things, Italian seasoning, lots of other flavors that you can put in there, and some sauce recipes call for lots of different spices as well, herbs and spices. I just use typically oregano in mine when I'm just making a standard sauce. While you're making the sauce, get your oven turned on as well. Having a preheated oven and one that's good and hot, 500 degrees or even 550 is a great temperature to have your oven at. So get it turned on. You want at least 45 minutes for that to heat up, especially if you have a pizza stone or a steel like I use for most of my pizza baking. Today we're going to do it on a pan, but we can also do it directly on a baking steel or on a pizza stone as well. So come on back, we're just going to heat this up, put our oregano in, and then we'll be coming back to build the pizza next time. Okay, we're back. It's been about an hour now, and we've got our dough risen now. You see it's nice and full now. Just going to dump this out now on here. I've got a little bit of flour and actually, I've got a mixture of flour and semolina, a coarse ground semolina. That works really nice because it's kind of bigger particles and acts kind of like a ball bearing. So if you don't have some of that, then you can just use flour. That will work fine, but I like to have that little bit. One thing I don't recommend is using cornmeal in the system, which some people do. So now we've got this nice dough. It's much easier to handle now. We're just going to scrunch it down a little bit. All we're going to do right now is divide it and round it. Do what we call rounding. So I'm going to try to divide this approximately in half. I should have weighed this here. So I've got about 1,000 grams. So this is about 1 kilogram of dough. This is going to make 2 pizzas. These are actually a pretty thick pizza dough. The New York style tends to have a little bit more. A lot of times this much dough I could maybe make 4 pizzas with, but on this size, so that's 550 grams. We're just going to cut a little bit of that off, put it in that one, and that should be good. And now we're just going to form this into a nice ball. And to do that, we just take and pull the edges up. We're going to just pull these together really good so we get a nice smooth ball. We want to knock any big air bubbles out too at the same time. And we're going to pull this up, and then we're going to kind of form this into a ball. And then we want to make sure it's all tucked underneath, and we're just going to let this sit for about 10 minutes covered here. So we're going to put a little more flour over here to set it on. I'm going to set this nice ball here that we rounded out and go. We've tried to get it so it's nice and smooth and has a little bit of tension on the top. We're going to set it here to rest. This dough needs to rest for 10 minutes. Don't neglect the resting. It makes it much easier to roll.